Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face while you're sleeping. We've all heard the saying, good things come in small packages, and that's true of the ocean as well. Although the big boys often get most of the attention from divers, there's lots to see underwater, and some things you can't see, on the smaller end of the spectrum. Although you might not notice some of the creatures on our list, they're just as important to the ocean's ecosystem as a healthy population of sharks. Starting with some of the tiniest living organisms in the sea and working our way up, here are the top picks of the 10 smallest sea creatures. Number 10. Marine viruses. They're not the sexiest entrant on this list. That one is coming up shortly. But marine viruses nonetheless have a crucial role to play in the vast ocean. And they're small. Really, really small. Marine viruses exist just as viruses do on land. A fact we've become all too familiar with within these times of coronavirus. The tiniest marine viruses measure just 40 nanometers in diameter. 1 nanometer is 1/1000th of a meter, just for reference. The largest marine viruses can reach up to 400 nanometers and are still invisible to the human eye without an intense microscope. There are millions of virus types in the ocean, and they're by far the most abundant life form underwater. In fact, scientists estimate that if you stretch them end to end, the virus mass in the ocean would span farther than the nearest 60 galaxies. Number 9. Marine bacteria. Again, just as on dry land, the ocean is home of millions of varieties of marine bacteria, the second smallest organisms in the sea. Larger than marine viruses, many of these bacteria are still tiny at around 1,000 nanometers long. Although they are much larger than marine viruses, they are still invisible to the naked human eye. Marine bacteria sport a variety of shapes, including rods, spirals, and spheres, and were among the first life forms to appear on Earth billions of years ago. Further, they are present in pretty much all habitats, including acidic hot springs and radioactive waste. Number 8. Algae. By now, we've reached an organism that divers and water sport enthusiasts can usually see with the naked eye. Most of the planet's smallest plants call the sea home, and many of them are single-celled green algae specimens. These are usually around 5 times bigger than marine bacteria, at about 5 micrometers, 5,000 nanometers. Tiny algae often serve as prey for larger, yet still small, marine critters. Together with cyanobacteria, algae from ocean phytoplankton, as well as the bigger and far more visible multicellular macroalgae that we call seaweed. Ocean algae, though ubiquitous and necessary for a properly functioning ocean ecosystem, can also be detrimental to marine surroundings, as in the case of red algae blooms often seen in the Gulf of Mexico and elsewhere. These blooms occur when algae proliferate so much that they discolor coastal waters, hence the name red tide. An algae bloom is caused by warm ocean surface temperatures, calm seas, rain, low salinity, and high nutrient content, often as a result of wastewater runoff from the land. Number 7. Sexy shrimp. We promised you a sexier entrant on this list than bacteria and viruses, and here we are with the sexy shrimp. These flirtatious fellas are a favorite among macro photographers. They can grow to around 1¼ inch or 32 millimeters, but are usually smaller depending on their age. As their flamboyant nickname suggests, they dance in a way that could put most pop stars to shame, wiggling their abdomen back and forth in a suggestive manner. Although tiny, the sexy shrimp boasts a beautiful orange-colored body decorated with white polka dots. Macro lovers can spot these pretty little creatures across the Indo-West Pacific and in parts of the Atlantic Ocean. They live symbiotically with sea anemones and other marine invertebrates in shallow reefs. Number 6. Juvenile frogfish. What's cuter than a frogfish? A juvenile frogfish, naturally. Frogfish get a lot of attention from divers, and rightfully so, thanks to their constantly annoyed expression, variety of colors and patterns, and characteristically stocky bodies. Adult frogfish can vary in size from an inch or 2, or 2.5 to 5 centimeters, up to almost 12 inches, or 30 centimeters. But it's the bebes that have a place on our tiny critter list. Depending on the type of frogfish, some juveniles can be smaller than an inch long, or just a few millimeters, smaller than the size of your pinky fingernail. Frogfish live in the tropical and subtropical regions of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, as well as the Indian Oceans and Red Sea. You'll find the greatest diversity of species in the Indo-Pacific, especially in Indonesia. It's unlikely you'll find them at all without a guide, however, so take one with eagle eyes on your next dive if you want to spot these adorable critters. Number 5. Pygmy seahorse. Just as adult frogfish are cute, but juveniles are cuter, The same applies to pygmy seahorses, which look like cartoon versions of their larger cousins, and they are not only one of the smallest ocean species, but also one of the most popular macrophotogenic subjects. They don't typically grow to more than an inch long, or 2.4 centimeters, depending on their age and species. However, it's not unusual to find them much smaller. Young pygmy seahorses are often so small, only millimeters in size, that they are virtually invisible to a diver's eye, especially since they are almost always perfectly camouflaged to match their surroundings. Pygmies typically live on Gorgonian sea fans in Southeast Asia's Coral Triangle, and it's nearly impossible to spot them without the trained eye of a dive guide, as they blend in so completely with their host fan. They are so small and so well camouflaged, in fact, that they were discovered by accident when a researcher spotted a pair on a Gorgonian sea fan he was examining in a lab. If you want to see one underwater, and trust us, you do, take an experienced guide on your dive and request a pygmy seahorse search. Number 4. Octopus wolfie. Next up is the octopus wolfie, the world's smallest known octopus, also known as the starsucker pygmy octopus. This adorable creature can fit on the tip of your index finger. Also, you should obviously not touch or disturb one should you be lucky enough to see it. Found mostly in the shallow waters of the western Pacific Ocean, the octopus wolfie features a pattern formed by papillate fringes around the edges of its suckers. It makes our list for measuring around 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters in length, and normally weighs less than 1 gram or 0.04 ounces. Number 3. Nudibranch. If someone told you they were hunting for sea slugs on their next dive, you might consider finding a new dive buddy, until you realize they're calling the gloriously colored nudibranch by another name. These shellless mollusks are a firm diver favorite, and with over 3,000 species of nudies as they're called, there are plenty to discover. These tiny hermaphrodites range in size from less than a quarter inch or 4 millimeters up to around 12 inches or 30 centimeters long. They come in every color of the rainbow, and then some, and use these striking markings as a warning to predators. Because they have no shells, they must telegraph their chemical defenses in their brightly colored bodies. They appear in oceans around the world from the Arctic to the Antarctic and live at virtually all depths from warm, shallow reef to waters exceeding 2,300 feet or 700 meters. These tiny jewels of the ocean will jerk your head on a dive the first time you spot one and will likely enthrall you on every dive after that. Number 2. Dwarf lantern shark. Although it may be surprising that a shark is on our list of the ocean's smallest creatures, many species are actually contenders. The smallest among them is the dwarf lantern shark, with the largest specimen ever measuring only 7.8 inches or 20 centimeters long. These tiny creatures are smaller than a human hand and typically live at depths between 928 to 1,440 feet, or 283 to 439 meters. Dwarf lantern sharks have only been seen a few times off the northern tip of South America. Similar to other lantern sharks, this deep-sea dwarf has high light-emitting organs, called photophores, along its belly and fins. These organs serve dual purposes, one for shallow waters and one for deeper depths. In shallower waters, when the dwarf lantern shark is feeding, the lit-up bellies help the animal blend in, and thus camouflage with sunlight from the above. In deep water, the light helps the shark navigate and attract smaller animals, which the lantern shark preys upon. Number 1. Irukandji jellyfish. The final entrant on this list is the Irukandji jellyfish. If you're a Finding Nemo fan, and why wouldn't you be, you might remember the cute little jellyfish that Dory finds and names Squishy in the film. Blinded by its cuteness, she touches it and gets a nasty sting, learning that many a diver already knows about looking and not touching. Despite their cute appearance, tiny Irukandji jellyfish belong to several similar species of deadly box jellyfish. Adults reach only about a cubic centimeter in size, but their stings are so severe that they can cause fatal brain hemorrhages. They inhabit Australia's northern marine waters and were named after the Irukandji people, whose native land stretches along the coast north of Cairns, Queensland. Our list of the tiniest creatures in the sea stretches from invisible to the eye viruses to a cute but deadly jellyfish. If you love this episode, make sure you hit the thumbs up and comment down below. And don't forget to watch our other videos and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, stay curious.